All right, hey guys, we're live. It's Josh at J&H. I'm joined by Fishaholic himself, Rich. Welcome, Rich. Thanks for
How's it
coming
going,
out.
guys? Right.
Let me know, you guys, if the audio is good, if you can hear everything properly. Video problems, hit me up in the comment section. Let me know. Rich can also see that, and we'll be responding to that kind of stuff. So let's start off with you, Rich. What are you up to? I know you just told me you're down in South Carolina. Tell me about why you're down there, what you're doing, fishing, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I've been kind of bouncing around a little bit, but I'm down here renting a space from my sister. She actually just bought a house down here in Charleston, and the last couple years I've been down in like the Stuart, Florida area, which is great. I love fishing there; it's awesome. But I just wanted to change it up, and as I'm getting older, I'm trying to figure out like where I want to plant my roots and stuff like that. But other than fishing around here locally, I've been going down to the Keys in Florida, which was phenomenal. Had some life-threatening situations, but I survived and I'm still here. It was cool. The big bull shark smiling at me was pretty cool. That video will be up in episode 2 of the Keys fishing adventure. And now I'm back in Charleston, editing away. I think I've got like 9 videos to post now or something like that. Like it's hard to keep up at sometimes, but yeah, it's been cool. And then I just got my boat back, and I got like a whole new deck done with it, which will be cool. So if any of you guys want to come out on like a fishing charter off of Jersey or Montauk, it'll be totally decked out. You'll be comfortable out there fishing all day. And unfortunately, I'm having a little engine trouble, but might get a new engine or get it fixed. So I'm still working that out. But other than that, I'm doing great.
So
So,
tell me, what's the fishery like where you are? What are you doing? What are you targeting, and how are you fishing for these fish?
so in Charleston, it's primarily redfish, trout, black drum, sheep's head right now, and there's a whole like offshore fishery. And but unfortunately, I haven't been able to get out there because I'm still working on the boat a lot and getting it ready for the northeast season, more or less. But the inshore fishing is amazing though for kayak fishing and like inshore wade fishing and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. And, yeah, and it's a change of pace. I've never lived in this area. I've only stopped and fished a couple days here and there, and then kept on moving through. So it's been really cool, like living here and then meeting some of the locals. What really made my day the other day is I got to the ramp and this young kid like paddled from a far distance away just to come over and say hi, because he knew my videos,
Sure.
and that's cool to see. Really, it makes my day. It's really cool to see. So
So how do you approach it when you're going to a completely new area and you're sort of new to the territory? How do you figure out your spots? How do you figure out where you're going to go, what you're going to try, what you're going to use? How do you do all that?
okay, well, I mean, where's my phone? So your phone right here is like the start to everything. If you're trying to find spots, I'll go on Google Maps and I'll look at areas, say like dock structures. I'll look for trees that maybe are laying in the water, and then being that a lot of times I'm kayaking, I will look on this app called Go Paddle, I think it's called, or let me recheck that. Yeah, it's Go Paddling. So if you're a kayaker, a boater, or even just a surf fisherman, like say you're going to an area and you're looking for just public access where you can throw the waders on and fish the surrounding waters, that Go Paddling app has saved me a lot of time and has given me a lot of access to areas where I've been able to find fish. And that's usually what I do. So Google Maps, Go Paddling, and then I also have the Fish Weather app. So that's where I'll check like wind direction. So then I know like, okay, I've never even seen this spot before. It looks good, but what about which way is the wind going to be blowing? Am I going to get beat up by fishing there? And if it looks good, then the next thing I look at is the tides at. And then I'm going to be looking at like, okay, where am I launching at? Can I use the tide to my advantage to take me to the area exactly where I want to target? And then use the tide to bring me back to the launch at the end of the day. You know, so that's pretty much how I do it all.
And how long does it take you to adjust?
I've being that, I mean, it's been a couple of years now. You like fishing up and down the East Coast. I've kind of adapted to like a lot of my Northeast like striper techniques. I've just tweaked slightly to target, say, redfish, snook, tarpon, and a lot of other inshore species. You know, and it's like once you get the fundamentals of, say, either one of those species, you could go north and fish for stripers or go south and fish for snook or redfish and pretty much get an understanding of it.
So you're not doing very much of what the locals are doing?
What do you mean by that?
Like my assumption is they're like throwing chunks of bait and maybe popping corks and, you know, that kind of stuff. I know you hit bait, but I'm just saying in general, like, you know, most guys are going to go to an area and sort of fish it similarly to the way the locals fish it because you know, that's what they think is going to work.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot about the pop-in cork, and I've actually never fished with one yet. Maybe that's something I should try in the next video. I love trying new things, but it's funny. Like the last 2 days, I actually did fish with bait. I fished with mud minnow, where they look like killies, what we have up north for like fluke and stuff like that, and just putting them on a jig head and flipping it under the right dock, and it's like instantaneous.
Sure.
Like hits the bottom, you jiggle it 2 or 3 times, then it's like thump, starts swimming away with it. And like the hook on the jig head is still like pretty big and strong, and the minnow I'm talking is like 1.5 to 2 inches, like a real tiny minnow. And they're like, it doesn't look like it would work, but the redfish love it. And that's the last couple of days I've been doing that, and it's worked phenomenally. And I mean, I'm sure, like, I've heard of some local guys using that technique, but I really haven't tried it until the last couple of days, and it's been really productive. You know, definitely outfishing artificials. So, and the funny thing is, like, I'll fish 30 docks, get no bites, and then you'll get to the very 1 or 2 docks down the river that I've always done well at, and you'll catch all the fish there, like, instant. You know, like, you can go straight there, but, like, when I'm filming videos, I like to explore around and try other areas to figure out what's happening, because that's how you discover new things. And that's actually how I discovered the very spots that I'm doing well at. So you can't always just go straight to the spots that produce, but sometimes you have to.
Sure.
In order not to get skunked. You know, that's how I made my dinner tonight.
There you go. All right, let's go back to the beginning. This is one of those things that I like to ask people because I just find it interesting, and it's sort of like a experience of life type of thing. So tell me, or tell us about sort of the first time you remember going fishing, and then what it was that really got you hooked on it, and that you knew would be like a lifelong passion, as opposed to just, yeah, I'm into this now, I'm into it for a year, I'm into it for 2 years. No. This, I'm going to do this forever. Tell me about that.
That's a good question. I mean, I can really remember just as a kid going fishing with my dad, just on like some local lakes, and that's probably where it all started. Like I have pictures of me like when I was like 2.5 feet tall, like casting my rod out and I'd be fishing for like sunnies and stuff like that, and I would look over and be like, wow, like my dad's catching bigger fish. He's catching bass. And then as I got older, like 6, 7 years old, I was always very competitive, even as a little kid. So me and my dad would go and fish for bass once I was able to hold my own rod, and we would always compete, like who would catch more in the end of the day. And I think that's what really like hooked me on fishing. And there were also many times growing up, like going out to Montauk and the Jersey Shore, and my dad would take me fishing, or I would go with him more or less because I was too little to hold a surf rod. But he would hook a big fish and hand me the rod, and then he'd like hold my belt loop so I didn't go like flying into the water.
Sure, yeah.
And probably a lot of those nights and mornings just like gave me the bug, and I fell in love with fishing. And also his addiction kind of became mine. Like as he got older, like I don't think he really got into it when he was like in his late teens, 20 years old. So from there until he started having kids, he just started like stockpiling fishing equipment. So as a kid, I was very fortunate. I could just go into our basement fishing department and grab stuff off the shelf and be like, all right, let's go. So I was definitely very fortunate and thankful because of that. Like if I would say at one point we probably had like 150 different rods in the basement, in a 20-yard by 10-yard space. I had the entire floor covered with unopened plugs. So imagine what was on the walls, like out of packaging. So I was very fortunate, and I love my dad for getting me into this sport that I'm into today, for sure.
And then how did you transition to filming it, wanting or having that desire, and then actually doing it?
That I kind of just stumbled upon because I got into spear fishing, which is a little off topic, but I wanted to originally get into, say, bow hunting, but that's like a whole huge other expense out of fishing. So I looked at spear fishing. I was like, oh, like what do I need? I need some fins, a wetsuit, a flag, a weight belt, and a gun. And I started doing that, and I was like, wow, this is like so awesome. Diving down 10 to 35, 40 feet and just seeing fish in their natural habitat, seeing what's going on down there. And I bought a GoPro in addition to that other spearfishing equipment. And then when I went to school in Rhode Island, I was like, like we're in the ocean state. I have to mention after like a month of partying, then I started being like, what the heck am I doing? Like the ocean is 25 minutes away every day. So I started going there every day, and I was like, why don't I put the camera on my head or on my body and start filming? And, part of it was because a lot of like elders that fished in my family, my dad, cousins, some other friends, if I went back to them and was like, yo, like I caught this massive fish, they wouldn't believe me unless I brought it back but I've always been a very conservative fisherman.
Did we lose Rich? Did he freeze up? I think he might have frozen. I don't know if you can hear. I'm gonna hang up on you, and let's see if we can re-add you, re-link in. Sorry about that, guys. We lost Fishaholic, but he'll be back in a minute. His story is pretty interesting. One of the things that I dig about him is that he's one of those influencers that is like almost like a teacher. Like people take what he does, take his advice, and go with it. All right, it looks like he's back.
I'm back.
Sorry about that.
No, it's all right. But yeah, where was that? As a young adult trying to prove yourself to like older individuals, and me being a very conservative fisherman, I think that's what influenced me to start carrying a camera and filming everything. So I don't have to tell a fish story anymore. I can just show that entire story and be like, this is what went down. Like, check it out. And, I've, I've been surrounded by a lot of older, very knowledgeable fishermen my entire life, especially living in Montauk. And, like they don't really believe things unless they see them as well. So when I would tell them that I was catching 40+ pound stripers out of the kayak, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, okay, like whatever." And then I'll just be like, "Oh, here's the video," and then they're like, "Holy," like they don't. Now they believe it.
Sure,
They can't. They have no way to deny it. So that's probably the main reason why I got into filming. And it was really cool because I found like another passion outside of fishing. Like I can't tell you like how much I love rewatching some like really cool footage. Like after this recent Florida Keys fishing trip, like I've rewatched the near shark attack probably like 30 times. Like it was really cool. It like pumps me with adrenaline just rewatching the video.
Sure.
So and then just some of the other fishy action. So like I caught my first bonefish.
Oh, how was that?
Oh, like pound for pound, probably one of the hardest like inshore fighting species. I was really surprised, and they're downright like impossible to see if there's like a light breeze on the water in like crystal clear water even.
Sure, yeah.
And I remember as a kid watching I forget, I think it was called The Spanish Fly on TV.
Jose
with yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And I remember waking up and watching him go out and catch like permit and bonefish and like I felt like I accomplished a childhood dream by catching a bonefish finally. So that was really awesome. Yeah, really happy.
I went down to Abaco with my dad. I think it's probably been about 10 years, and we stayed at some what's it, Green Turtle Cay? I don't know what it's called, but anyway, went out on Flat's boat, first time also catching bonefish, and it was a lot of fun. And then you go and you sort of explain how it works, and people are sort of like, "Well, that's not really fishing; it's more like hunting." And
it's totally hunting.
It's totally hunting, right? And then we would like, he would like stop the boat. He'd anchor the boat. You jump out of the boat, and now you'd be on land, and you'd just be like, he'd say, permit 12 o'clock, whatever. And of course, I'd mess it up in some way. But yeah, we had a lot of fun, barracuda, all that kind of stuff, and it's like fishing in an aquarium down there. It's really like you see turtles, like crystal clear water. It's crazy. If anybody gets a chance to go bone fishing, if you're looking for like an adventure type of fishing, you're gonna have a lot of fun. I mean, I've never had anybody go bone fishing who's like, "Oh, that sucks." Like that's a really fun way of fish or fun fish to fish for.
Yeah, I mean, I probably went fishing for like 7 or 8 hours, solo mission in an area I've never fished kayak, and I would say I probably only took in that time frame maybe 60 casts, 50 casts, if that, like, which is that's like nothing.
Sure, yeah.
I was doing more just like scouring the flats, and fortunately enough, I have a drone, so I was using the drone to see if I could see anything. Didn't see much, just some like bonnethead sharks, stingrays, and I got really lucky on a blind cast. Like something tells you internally, like cast there. Made the cast like as far as I could. It looked good, and 2 little twitches with a voodoo shrimp, soft plastic shrimp. Looks extremely lifelike. There was no information online whether or not Bonefish ate this bait or not. I just was like, you know what? It looks like a shrimp. Like, it looks so good. Like, they have to eat it. And a Bonefish slurped it up and gave me an amazing fight. Like, was like a 20-inch fish was spinning my kayaks in circles.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It was crazy. It was awesome.
For any of you guys who've never gone bone fishing, don't know what a bonefish is, it's like a white fish that's crazy powerful for its size. Generally, you're going to fish it in the flats, or you're going to do what's like sight fishing. So you're going to stand on the front of a boat. You're usually going to have someone. You don't want to use a motor because it'll scare them away. They're super, super easy to scare, and he's going to pull the boat around so you make no noise. He's up like, I don't know what, 4 feet on the thing, 5 feet up, and while he's
the higher
pulling,
the better.
He can sort of be your spotter. And
Some guys use ladders.
Ladders, yeah. You need polarized lenses, definitely. That's like 100%. And you just sort of want to cast it in their general direction. And if you're lucky, they'll take it, and you'll hear your drag screaming. And they usually have a couple of good runs of them. I'm sure there's other videos on YouTube you can watch showing bonefish, but that was one of the most fun styles of fishing that you can do. So if you guys ever want to do an adventure or do something like the Bahamas, the Keys, this is where you're going to go and just have a blast.
Like, definitely go on YouTube and type in Spanish fly and bonefish or permit. Permit is the next on the list I got to scratch. Like, I heard they're even harder than bonefish. Like, you got to use like a live little crab or something. They're very hard to catch.
Permit are very hard to catch. I posted a picture, maybe it was a year ago now because of COVID, but my dad caught 14 permit in one day.
Wow.
Which was like, never ever happens. And the charter captain he goes with down, and he's out in Sarasota, and the charter captain he goes out down with there is a really, really great guy. But yeah, permit, tough.
Even with live bait.
Even with live bait, yeah, they're very finicky and stuff. That's why the guys we had 2 when I was down there. I was on shore, and we had like 2 big permit coming at us, and he's like, cast, and I totally messed it up. The thing went like right by me. I was like, he was all mad. I thought it was funny, but it is what it is. But
I tell you, like, when I was fishing on the flats down there, like, there's like this little eelgrass. It's about this high, and if there's a light breeze, you can't see anything on the bottom, even if it's a foot of water.
Sure.
Like, for me at least, even with polarized lenses, it was extremely hard. And I got really lucky, made the right cast at the right time, and put it in front of a fish. Maybe there was a bunch of them there. I don't even know. But I continued to fish the area for like another 3 hours and just had a couple barracuda, lost a couple voodoo shrimp.
Sure, yeah.
Unfortunately. And they're like $9 a pop. Or $9 for 2 or something. Yeah, so
I forget what we were using. We were using shrimp. We were using he cut up a conch.
Really?
Yeah. On like I think it was on like small bucktails. We were using like really small Spro bucktails.
Yeah,
3 ounce, half ounce, something like that.
When I was doing some research, I was, even as a kid, I was doing research, and I was always wondering, like, why would they eat like just a little bucktail with a little hair on it? But in reality, like, everything eats a bucktail.
Sure. Yeah.
But when I was on this last trip, I was like, how could they not eat a voodoo shrimp? If they're going to eat a little bucktail with a little fuzzy on the end of it, like, why would they not? Like, the voodoo shrimp just looks so realistic. And I'm not, like, being paid to say this or anything.
Sure.
I've just caught so many fish on that dang little bait. It's, like, freaking surprises the heck out of me sometimes. And it's, yeah. Buy them at Walmart if you do, or I don't know if, Josh, do you have them or not?
I don't. I mean, it's something we can get,
Josh has to get them.
Maybe we'll do a Fishaholic shrimp.
We could do that.
Why not, right?
That'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I'd be down.
Someone, let's see. I was looking at the comments in the comment section here. Let's see here. Someone asked you. Here we go. Someone wants to know how did they get a charter with you this summer? What's going to be the process for that?
Okay, well, so if you follow me on YouTube or on Instagram, especially, as soon as I get the site up and running and live, that is when you know you can do it. I've actually already had probably like 40 or 50 emails about chartering and bookings, and I haven't booked anything yet. I'm just trying to keep my options open, I guess, because as I'm getting older, I'm 26 right now, and I've been living in Montauk for the last few years, like in the summer and stuff like that, which is seasonal. And it's starting to get a little old, even though I love Montauk, but it's just so downright expensive.
Sure.
And I'm still trying to actually find an apartment this year. I had an apartment the last few years at the same place, but so this year I'm trying to do like everything myself, chartering, and then just like YouTube and videos and guiding and stuff like that. So I'm trying to like find my own place. So the last few years where I've been renting is my previous boss, because I also work for a charter boat out there. And it's not that I can't stay there, but the property isn't owned by him anymore. His daughter bought the property, so I'm not really sure what she's doing. So not to say that I won't go back to the Northeast at all this season or Montauk, but I might be looking in the future where I could plant roots a little deeper. I've even been like looking at properties down here, over the last like month or so. So that's just like something normal as a guy, trying to grow up a little bit and figure out where he wants to live,
Well, how has your audience's reaction been to you doing these seasonal trips and catching fish other than like striped bass, which is like, the money fish or whatever you want to call it, right? Yeah,
I mean, like being that this whole channel is basically started on like saltwater fishing, striped bass fishing. It's funny, like the first year I went to Florida, it was kind of a little like lower. And then by the end, when I was like on my way out, it was like really high. And then last year was like amazing. Everyone loved the Florida videos. And I think it was kind of a big decision to not go back to Florida this winter, even though like everyone wanted to see more of that kind of content. I wanted to try somewhere different.
Sure.
Because like being a young man, I really did not know where I wanted to end up at one point. So I wanted to kind of try it all. And I feel like as spring is coming, it'll get better for like the Charleston area, and then the Florida videos that are all going to be coming out consistently. I think a lot of people will go, watch that and then go into more of the Charleston videos. And especially as soon as I start fishing more of the offshore waters around here, I think there's a lot of other species to catch, in the ocean versus like inshore.
Sure.
Stuff like that. So
well, you did some tuna fishing last year, and I feel like you caught the bug there. You had a good time.
Yeah.
I assume you're going to do more of that this season.
Yeah, I would love to. Tuna fishing's awesome. I love eating fresh sashimi and sushi. And I probably had a really high mercury content after last year. I know I did not like upload any videos on the main channel. That's just more like charter stuff. And I never feel right bringing the camera along when we have customers on the boat and stuff like that.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
It's you want the customers to have like a great experience, and there were some trips other than the tuna. You see like 100 whales and like thousands of dolphins, like really awesome stuff. Really cool.
Very cool. Yeah, I think you're going to have a wide variety of stuff to do this summer. hopefully the inshore tuna bite will be really strong like it was last year. I
Yeah.
imagine it will be, as long as
If
the
it
sand eels
is,
show up, which I think they
if
will.
it is, we might have to take the Fishaholic boat offshore out a little bit and see if we can get one on the little boat.
What'd you do mainly? Did you do trolling and jigging, or you mainly did trolling?
But mainly trolling. I like jigging, preferably, but sometimes you got to troll. And it was funny some days, or some outings, I guess. We didn't go like every day, but maybe at least 2-3 times a week. But they were like color selective and size selective, which was weird. Like they wanted like a little green machine and like towed behind a chartreuse boon bird, or there's another kind of bird. I can't think of the name, but it has like mirrors on the wings, and they really loved that one. Like right next to it, though, a pink bird, or even a yellow bird, or like a really hard green bird, they wouldn't eat it. It had to be like a bright chartreuse, like neon color, like the big bird. Like that mattered whether or not your green machine was going to get like a bite or not. Like I'm talking like 15-1.
Interesting.
Like, which was crazy. And then the spreader bars, nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah. And I mean, that was just our boat though.
Sure.
So there were other boats around us that were catching fish, but they would get back to the dock. They had like 1 or 2 or 3. We were going back and being like, oh, we had like 15 or 20 fish on. We landed 8 or 12 or 11 or something, So
That's interesting because we have now, sort of chatterlores mania has taken over the coast in terms of spreader bars and side tracker bars and bars that track out to the side. And the results have just been crazy. I mean, people have just been taking smaller boats out, that you normally wouldn't because of the inshore bite, and then you have these side trackers which are so effective. And then they're also fishing at different levels. They're going far back, and they're also going deep, dropping something down 40 feet, 60 feet, whatever, and they're fishing more diverse spreads, which is interesting. It's cool to see that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, after you mentioned like deeper down, I would say that's one thing. We don't fish a lot of deep water. Like we're in the deep water, but we don't fish down deep. And a buddy of mine was out like a couple days after like a really good outing, and he was struggling. And then he put down a deep running Rapala, and he caught 2, like boom, like right, bang, bang. And it's unbelievable sometimes how many fish are down deep but just won't rise up to the spread.
Sure,
so this year, like I feel like I'd always got to have 1 or 2 rods down deep on top of the 8 rods on top.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Yeah, I mean, when I was down in Panama at Tropic Star Lodge, they would fish that. They would have 1 deep and 4 out, whatever it was, and then we've been selling a lot more of those type of lures like Nomad DTX and CD30, CD40s, that kind of Rapala Huskies, whatever Magnums, whatever. And then also the Chatterlures makes they call it a tuna bomber, which is like, I think it's 38 ounces of lead in a squid, and is it 3 squids? I forgot. You guys could go on jnh.com and check it out. But yeah, more people have been doing more diverse things than just keeping things high up, and that's cool to see.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's answer a question here. This is kind of a long one, but basically it boils down to, what is your favorite color of finback shad? What's been your most effective? What do you like the best? This dude's a Wonder Bread fan, which is like, everybody's a Wonder Bread fan, but I always thought from talking with you that the olive, the more natural color was your sort of go-to pick.
Yeah, the reason for that is because when I'm down south here, or more so Florida, like the last couple of years, the water's really clear. That color works the best down there for the day. Nighttime, you can Wonder Bread, chartreuse, or the white and silver flake. And then when I'm up north, Jersey, like in the spring run or even the fall, the water around Jersey a little discolored, especially in Raritan Bay. So like Wonder Bread, Chartreuse, White and Silver Flake. Those are my three top favorite colors for that scenario. But when I start getting out to the eastern end of Long Island, the water is a lot clearer most of the time. So I prefer that amber over White and Silver Flake. And like even out in the boat, like I'll use it for stripers, sea bass, bluefish. Unfortunately, will eat it, but really like any fish out there, just working it along the bottom, working through the rips as you're drifting over the spot. They love that color. It's it's hard to believe sometimes, but I'm sure they would hit the other colors, but I just like that natural color look. Yeah, I just feel like it's just enough. It looks like a bait fish, not really trying to stand out a whole lot. Because when you think about it, bait fish change to their environment, blend in so they don't become prey, or they try not to become prey. But in dirty water, to have a Wonder Bread or something with a little extra color and flash makes it stand out a little better, makes it easier for them to see.
How'd you do with Bunker and Green Mac last year?
Oh, that color as well, really, really well. Especially like deep down for sea bass and stripers.
The Bunker.
Yep, the Bunker color.
Did you go up to the canal at all this past year or no?
No, not this year. I gotta be honest, I'm not a huge fan of the canal. Just because of the fact that it's like not like what I like as a surf fisherman. I like walking a half mile or so down up, a random beach or Montauk, Jersey, being all alone, and just casting out there into the unknown and seeing what's there. I just feel like that's more of the hunt, I guess. That's like what I'm into. Very similar to like bone fishing on the flats. Like I'm always after that next like game and puzzle to put together.
So when your audio cut out, you froze before. I was you hung up and waiting for you to come back on, and I was telling the guys that one of the things that's interesting about you and separates you from a lot of the other YouTubers and influencers and this kind of stuff is that you go and do something, you're entertaining, but at the same time people are learning from you, and they seem to take your advice as opposed to just saying you're entertaining, right? And that's like not a very common thing. That's something like a guy like Skinner has, even though he's a bit different from what you're doing in style and stuff, but you're both kind of have a sort of a teaching air about you. And I'm wondering, what is it about you that you think attracts people to you? Why do you think that you were able to ascend to a certain level on YouTube? And why do you think people enjoy your videos so much and get so much out of it, as opposed to just being like entertained by them and moving on? Because you have a lot of fans. People talk about you all the time in the shop, and I get comments and questions about you.
Great to hear.
So, I'm sure the stuff with your name on it helps, but like, what do you think it is about your personality or about your fishing history that lends you to be more of a teacher than, say, a straight entertainer?
Well, I would say like even since the beginning, like I've kind of just kept everything real. Don't get me wrong. There were some days I would go out there and fish and film and be like, wow, like today sucks. So I was only uploading days where I was like doing really well. But I really just was showing you what I was doing out there on the water and kind of creating like a credible, I guess, name, or I guess that's the way to put it. A credible name for myself by showing you what I'm doing out there and what I'm catching, and I guess my enthusiasm behind catching each and every fish. You know, I've never really tried to do something what they call on YouTube like clickbait.
Sure, yeah.
Like I'm not going to go out and catch schoolie striped bass and be like, "Oh, biggest fish of my life," you know. I'm going to say it how it is. If it's a tough day, and then I end up catching fish, I'll put that as the title. Like, oh, it was a super tough day, but we caught. You know, and I would say there's other YouTubers out there that, like you said, are more entertainers, and they try and do like more clickbaity type stuff, which YouTube loves, and it attracts a lot of attention, and they grow really quick in terms of like subscribers, and that's not even really the like important thing to me. It's like I said, it's more about just like building credibility, like as a fisherman. You know, like I would rather be that guy that say like you guys would want to come fishing with because you want to learn from me, rather than because you just think it would be cool. You know,
Sure.
like I'd rather be that guy. Like there's nothing better on guiding trips or charters when I teach someone how to even cast, believe it or not. Like I'm taking people that need help with casting, but not even just to cast, but to cast to like a specific area where like if you're like 2 feet that way to the right, or well, I'm going this way or that way, but
Sure.
left or right, 2 feet or, you know, either way, you're not going to get a bite. But if you're within that little zone, that's where you're going to get bit. And it's awesome to see someone I'm taking fishing accomplish that, and then sometimes catch 20 fish, 30 fish, 40 fish in a trip, especially stripers in the surf. And even if they're not big, but it's to see their face light up and be like, wow, like I've caught the most fish in 30 minutes than I have in like the last like 2 years, you know? So that's really cool to see.
I always wonder about that stuff because, again, you know, I'm talking with like thousands of fishermen every single day, and you know, I get, you know, the whole gamut of questions, you know, and sort
I'm sure
of like
you do.
you make a judgment about this person's level of expertise based on, you know, the questions they're asking. And you know, if you're a beginner, I love having questions from beginners because then I can put you on the right path. I can hook you up with someone who could put you on the right path. You know, like that's totally cool, right? But one of the things like I talk with tackle advisors about a lot is, you know, fishing is very like technique specific, and you can be a better angler if you have better technique at whatever you're doing. You know, whether it's like slow pitch jigging or like you said, casting, hitting spots. You know, when I was fishing with popping corks down in Venice, you know, it took time to learn how to pop that thing correctly, to move it through the water, you know, how to swim a jig, you know, how to, all these kind of things that are like, they're all techniques, right? And I think people sometimes are so concerned with catching fish that they don't do sort of the practice stuff that will help them catch more fish, you know?
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a whole lot behind the scenes of like reading the water, tides, wind, you know, knowing what kind of bait is in the area, you know, during the time of year that you're fishing. And for me, like growing up as a fisherman, I was lucky that for me, it's like a language. Like I was kind of just like born into it. I felt like it's like natural for me. But if you're a teenager, never fished a day in your life, or early 20s, late 20s, early 30s, so on and so forth, and you're just getting into it, there's a learning curve behind it.
Sure,
And
yeah.
you know, you got to put the time in. Like sometimes like even going out and exploring a new beach that you've never even fished before will help you learn tremendously in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a certain type of person to go out in the middle of the night and go to a beach or go to a pier or whatever and go fishing there. You know, it's like that's
For
a
sure.
certain personality type, and you're not going to be successful if you don't scout it during the day, you know, go on Google Maps, you know, all these kind of
Exactly.
little things that come with, the sport itself, you know? And that's the stuff like we don't talk about enough. We always talk about like how big was the fish and what did you use, and yeah, but we never really talk about like, you know, the hours spent researching the land and like you said, you know, the tides and all this kind of stuff that goes into, you know, being more productive when you're out there. I think
Mm-hmm.
you know, I think it really came to a realization last year when I was talking with uh, I believe it was Justin at Chattelors, and we were just talking about offshore fishing, and he was like, "Look, you know, we're talking about like you know pin rigs and ballyhoo and all that kind of stuff." And he's like, "Some of these guys, like, they go out. You know, it's expensive to go offshore. You know, you go in the canyon or something like that. It's a lot of money. It could be thousands of dollars in fuel, and you go out there." And like you know you get a fish or maybe you don't or you lose it, you got to re-rig, and they got to re-rig the ballyhoo instead of just having them prepared. He's like, if you had 10 or 15 of them just prepared in a cooler or whatever, you could just like hot swap it out, and you just wasted like 15 minutes, 20 minutes
Oh yeah,
re-rigging when you can just boom. So like there's all that time off the water when you should be preparing, right, and doing your research, doing your homework, practicing, so that when you are on the water you get the most out of your 8 hours or however long you're out there.
exactly,
You know.
for sure. I mean, like, I have a rule of thumb that I won't fish a spot at night that I haven't fished at least like 3 to 6 times during the day. And the reason for that is you can, for one, know where you're going to stand to like cast and effectively land fish. And also to know like the water clarity, maybe what kind of bait are in the area. That's going to tell me what I should fish at night. And that helps tremendously in the long run. So if any of you guys watching, you know, have a spot in mind that you think would be like amazing at night fishing this spring or summer or fall, just go there and snoop around in the day for a few hours and lift up a few rocks, see what's under, you know, under the rocks, you know, see what's in the bait, maybe even get a net, pull in some of the bait that's sitting there, or do a little fishing and then see what you catch, see what they spit up, look in their mouth after you catch them. And that'll give you an idea of how you can target fish at night and maybe catch the big mama that's hanging out there.
Did you have you had a chance to fish the Vista I sent you?
Yes, I have actually. Yep.
And what do you think of it?
And it's a little stiff, like to get it going, but so far so good. And unfortunately, I didn't catch one big fish in the Keys fishing for it at night, and that's usually when I was using it. And yeah, there wasn't really much of a night bite, unfortunately. A lot of the locals said that it was maybe because of the full moon, and sometimes it like turns the tarpon off. And like I had 100-pound tarpon jumping in front of me, but like you probably couldn't even catch them with a bunker snag. Like they were sitting right there, like yeah, they would like move out of the way of everything and just wouldn't touch a bait. It was really strange.
What were you throwing?
I was throwing darters, bucktails, flare hawk jigs, which is like the southern style bucktail,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and X-Raps, Yozuris. Did try like a live needlefish, or my friend Dylan did actually, and he didn't get anything. They were feeding on like really small, like pilchards. And last year, I'm not really sure what they were feeding on, but like you could throw anything and you were going to get whacked, like bam, and then it's basically just like hold on, like you know, big tarpon just ripping line. And I mean, you'd be lucky if you landed one or two a night, you know. So, but really exhilarating stuff. If you haven't fished the Keys for either bonefish or tarpon, you got to do it.
And why were you fishing tarpon at night instead of during the day?
Or at night, I feel like you had a better shot with surf casting equipment and surf casting lures. During the day, more like cut bait, live bait, and I did get into some tarpon during the day on artificials, but it wasn't like long term. It was like perfect time of the tide, had a few bites, and I lost most of them, but got to play with them for a little bit, which is the most exciting part anyway.
Sure,
yeah, they got a really bony mouth, and they're hard to hook. So
that's what makes it
and
fun,
I was
though, right?
Undergun. Yeah, exactly. But
you want to sort of avoid the repetition, right?
yeah, exactly. Sometimes you got to let them go early.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's talk about some gear a little bit. So we're coming out with new stuff. You've had some prototypes for a little while. You've had the surf rod, which we could talk about, and then you have the Inshore Rod. So why don't you give us some feedback on that?
Yeah, so I've been using the Inshore Rod for the Fishaholic Dark Matter series Inshore Rod, 7'6", medium fast action, and it's like my dream rod, really, because it's that little extra length, which I like in an Inshore series rod, because I feel like just with like the lighter baits and the more sensitive rod tip, you can cast them a lot further, cover a lot more water, and just get a better feel of how you're working that bait along the bottom. And the surf rod from what I felt so far, has great action, but unfortunately, I could not put a fish on it. But in time, I feel like I'll catch some tankers on that rod coming this season. And I'm excited to release these rods with Josh and see what you guys catch on them. For those of you that pick them up and put them to good use.
Yeah, so I think they're going to be
really
great.
Exciting.
Everything is just delayed because of the pandemic. We should have had everything, but just if you guys watched the Shimano video that I did a couple of days ago, the chaos that's going on in California and LA in terms of containers stacked 30 high, and I mean it's a crazy story. I bet someone will write a book about it one of these days. But when our whole supply chain is based off of international shipping, it just makes it impossible. And then all these people are buying up all the time on airplanes, right? So the cost to ship it by air is like 3 times as much, and it just becomes crazy. So it is what it is. So to come a little bit later, we are doing a Fishaholic popper, which is going to be really cool. Sort of inspired by Smack It, right? Sort of our version of what would be a Smack It lure, but through wire construction, which is actually a huge thing for that lure.
So it'd be stronger.
And especially with the tight, the size fish that you catch, it's going to be good. And then, bigger eyes, meaner looking, and then, two.
I'm going to catch some slobs on it this year.
Oh yeah, definitely. So that's going to be really cool. And those should be here, around summertime, hopefully. Everything depends on what's going on. And then we're doing the smaller shad, right? What is it, 4-inch shad?
Yep. So something a little bit smaller for like more backwater fishing.
And a little bit
lighter tackle.
And a little bit softer is not the right word, but more flexible. How would you?
Yeah, I would say I guess softer isn't a bad word to use. It'll still be tough.
Yeah.
But it'll just help the paddle tail on a smaller bait move a little more, and the body will move a little more. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a little more flexibility. I think that's needed with something when you're taking like the 5-inch bait and you're shrinking it down. The texture and the dexterity has to change a little bit.
And I think that one's going to be like a saltwater and freshwater type of lure, where people are going to use it in both.
I'll be catching some largemouth on it, and probably some walleye as well. Walleye love swim baits, so that'd be cool. Muskie too, probably. Might have to get on some of those.
Yeah.
They'll eat the big shads, probably.
Someone asked, and I can't find the comment now, about what your most productive lure was down in Charleston. Or was it the bait? Here we go.
So
brought up here. from a little while ago?
Best lure? So far, I've been having a lot of luck with the little 3-inch Z-Man swim baits. In I'm not really even sure of the color. Kind of more of like a natural color with a little flash. Well, that's what I've been having the best luck with. And, in terms of artificials. And I tried experimenting a little bit with little Savage Gear crabs. They look really good. So I'm going to keep trying it. And I think in the right scenario, those would be like a killer bait as well.
Do they have crabs down there? Like the
they have a lot of, yeah, I mean, crabs is like something like redfish, like love to eat.
Sure, yeah.
And I always find it kind of a hassle. No. So that's the thing.
Okay.
So I would have to go to a tackle shop and buy them, which one of the reasons why I love artificial fishing is you can just use what you got, go out there, fish it, and catch. You don't have to go to a tackle shop, get bait, stuff like that, which kind of just delays getting out there. And also, like, catching fresh bait or having the ability to catch fresh bait can make the difference between catching, 1 fish or 10 fish. Like yesterday and today, well, it started off yesterday. I fished a couple hours with artificials, nothing. And then I eventually cast netted some little killies, little minnows, and then put them on a jig head. And it was like instantaneous, like 7 or 8 fish. And then I fished the same structure with an artificial. And with enough enticing, I was able to get 2 bites, landed 1 nice red. But it wasn't nearly as productive as the live bait. I ran out of live bait. Like, as soon as the live bait hit the bottom, it was like, boink. Reel them in. That was it. It was crazy. Like, the artificials, you had to be there, like, really, like, working it, So.
I think I get so used to gulp being so effective up here for fluke that I don't even really think about bait anymore. I mean, obviously we sell a ton of bait in the shop and all that kind of stuff, but it's almost for me like an afterthought,
Yeah, I don't try a whole lot of gulp, like, down here. Like, down in Florida, like, last year and the year before, I did it a little bit, and it worked. It caught fish, but, like, you're talking more or less like fluke fishing. Like, fluke love gulp, like action and the flavor and the scent. And I know guys do well with it down here, but, like, the one reason I don't like getting it a lot is because of it gets all over the place. Like, the smell, it gets all over your hands. And I've really been loving the Procure. And I've been putting that on some of the baits or Liquid Mayhem. And you lather that on like an artificial, and it lengthens the hold time for sure on it. Like, when fish grab it, like, you feel a bump and you can count to like 5 in your head and they still have it, versus them like picking it up and dropping it right away.
Cool. So we've gone about an hour, and that's pretty good. I want to sort of finish off just talking about a little bit more about the charter business. Any more information you can tell us about that, and sort of what your plans are for the rest of the season in terms of where you're going to be, where you're going to spend your time, where are you at with that stuff?
Okay, so I'm trying my best to get back to Montauk this season, but I really want to specialize up there, or even in Jersey. I was thinking about finding a slip where I could have the boat for a month and a half or so, maybe 2 months in Jersey, and just specialize in like light tackle, inshore striper fishing, artificials, top water, swim baits, and bucktails, and that's really what I want to like specialize in. No trolling, maybe a little bit, but not much.
Right. You don't want to be doing mojos and all that kind of boring stuff.
I want you guys to come out with me. And if you need any tips or help, I'm going to be there to help you. And I want you guys to catch the fish yourselves, learn whatever you want from me, and just have a blast doing it.
You want to do more
like
action
tackle fishing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I want you to earn your fish.
Sure.
I don't want, I don't want to just take you trolling, do everything, fish gets on and you reel them in.
Right, yeah.
Or even bait fishing. You cast it out there, you just let it sit there, rod bends over, you reel it in. I think it's a lot more rewarding. I don't know about you guys, but say you put on a nice popper, you cast it out there, pop, pause, pop, pause, and figure out that cadence they want, and bam. And you get that bite and you hook them and you reel them in, hold them up for a picture, maybe a video, and you throw them back. Or you keep them if you're hungry, if it's legal.
Oh, cool.
So,
all right, one last question that I find interesting. In terms of your, you're a YouTuber for all intents and purposes, you know what I mean? So how much have you been sort of like a slave to the algorithm and all that kind of stuff? I know you don't do clickbait, but how much have you catered what you do, how you do based on YouTube? Because again, you're getting a certain amount of income from that, and that's important. Yeah. How's that been going?
Believe it or not, the most important thing is the thumbnail, which is kind of irritating.
Sure.
Because as much as I would love to put a big fish as the main thumbnail, what I've learned is they for whatever reason YouTube shares it more if you tease the viewer. You show the reel, you show the lure, or you just show the lure, and then you just have a catchy title. That's pretty much what's going to guarantee more views. So if you're trying to make videos and want to get more views, that could be a little tip for you. It's don't show the main fish. Don't spoil the surprise.
Sure.
Basically.
I mean, the thing I'm seeing a lot of is all the teasing stuff, and then people with their their faces making shocked reactions, and you're not gonna believe this, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I gotta try more of that.
More just your face and different. I swear, I watch certain YouTubers in different fields, not fishing and stuff. Yeah, and it's almost like they did a photo shoot where they did 12 different faces, and then they just put a white outline around one, pop that head into it, and the stock market's crashing, or something like that. All this kind of stuff, and it's you need the Home Alone face, the the whole thing, and it's crazy that you have to do all this stuff to be successful. Otherwise your stuff doesn't get seen. Like you said, how ridiculous is it? You go out fishing, you spend all this time, you edit it, you do all this cool stuff, and then if your thumbnail's not right, no one sees it,
Yeah, for sure. I think as the channel grows, it becomes less important as you're getting more and more views. But I think in turn, for me is, to others that might seem like a large channel, but there's other channels out there that are a lot larger, and they can do whatever kind of thumbnail they want, and YouTube is going to push those fishing videos more. I've even noticed it where it's if I was watching, say, on a private channel, watching my video, the next video after is going to be some other bigger fishing YouTuber, maybe one of the Guggen Squad videos, because they're bigger, they're getting more views and stuff like that. So that basically attracts other attention away from my channel and stuff like that. It's just the name of the game.
Well, that's the problem with the algorithm, right? It doesn't see your content as of a certain level versus an entertainer.
Value.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're going to be put next to the guy catching a striper with a Twizzler, right? Or fishing Walmart lures and throwing into tunnels. Is this tunnel haunted?
30
that kind of stuff.
30-pound bass on a Twizzler. It's on the channel.
There you go.
did it.
But you know what I mean? It's that kind of clickbaity, that kind of over the top entertainer kind of stuff is like
Yeah.
right alongside with you and Skinner, even though you guys are so much different. Even Tackle
Yeah.
Advisors to some extent, even though he's doing real reviews and it's a little different. It's
But the
it's weird.
difference in the long run is like Skinner. He has books. Like I feel like more people will buy a book from him, maybe even me one day, rather than just an entertainer. So I feel like
Oh,
that's
I mean that's 100%. I
like
mean,
that means a lot more in the long run.
yeah, I mean,
Because
there's
like to be honest, like there's something that YouTubers call YouTube heaven. A video will get a bunch of views. Only very few will continue every month to get thousands and thousands of views over the years. But there's a lot of views that will get a few thousand views, and then after that, it's like a few hundred, maybe a month or something, if that. They go to YouTube heaven, we call it. So that that's why like in the beginning is like the most important when you first upload a video to get as many views as you can, gain traction, and then hopefully it goes somewhere. In the first like month or so.
well, we've seen a change over the years. I mean, I've been doing this now for 10 years, something like that. In my sort of little world, and we've seen it where you get well over 100,000 views on something easily. It's a stupid video.
Yeah, like
And then all of a
in a
sudden
day or
now
two.
it's like a struggle to get a couple thousand or to get 10,000. Like, it's like they completely changed it. There's no such thing as like evergreen content anymore. That's like a thing of the past. And it's like, what have you done for me lately? Over and
Yeah,
over and over again.
for sure.
And we see that on other social media too. I mean, I don't know. Do you do TikTok at all? You're on there? Do you watch that stuff?
I have a TikTok account. I uploaded one video, but after this Keys trip, I got to start sifting through some stuff, and I can make some pretty cool TikToks. I think. Yeah, so
So
I'll start doing that more.
I've been learning. I'm into like the future stuff, and I saw TikTok coming, and my kids were on it, and I got it.
You have
Maybe
kids, that helps.
Yeah, kids
I even
definitely help you.
TikTok.
It's weird when you're like an adult and you go on TikTok because it starts off, it's like 15-year-olds dancing. You're like, why am I on this app? And it's sort of evolved into like, well, now everybody's on this app and they're doing like cooking and fishing and basketball and trick shots and sort of everything that's YouTube, but in this short format. And it's an interesting audience and an interesting thing to do. But I see a lot of people who are like, I got shadow banned. If you don't post the app every day, all of a sudden you go from huge amount of views down to very little, and the whole thing seems kind of weird. I'm still trying to figure it out. I got like 18,000 followers on there, and like sometimes you do something really great and no one sees it, and then you do something incredibly stupid or not even interesting at all, and it gets 20,000 views. It's like it's just the weirdest thing with the algorithm.
Yeah, yeah, it's that's funny like that, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
I know with YouTube, like back a couple years, they might have changed the algorithm by now, but there's a very popular channel out there. I won't mention it, but because of his name, he became really, really big, really, really quick, and that was just because of his first. Or no, it was one, I think. A little hint. the start of the channel name was One, which because of the algorithm and his name being One, it like all of his videos came first, and I mean he's a cool guy. He admitted it. He knew it. He's like, yeah, like the algorithm worked to my favor.
sure.
So and he built a really great following because of it. So hey. What happens?
Because there are a lot of really terrible fishing YouTubers. I mean, really bad content, like epically bad content, and some of it gets a crazy amount of views.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it gets good. Sometimes it gets a lot of views because of bad circulation. I mean, there might be a ton of guys commenting, being like, "Oh, this video stinks. This is terrible." I mean, like, to be honest, one or two of my like first videos that got a lot of views, I got a ton of like negative comments.
Sure.
And that's what I think like rose the traffic, and then more people started watching it, or YouTube started promoting it more because a lot more people were clicking on it and commenting on it and engaging in it. And I haven't had any of those videos in a long time. I guess maybe because I've gotten too good at editing and narrating, maybe.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're educational now. I mean, I go on. It's funny. I go on TikTok and I'm like, what should I post here? Like, what do these people like? And they're usually younger, so I try to do like over the top, crazy expensive stuff, like the $5,000 offshore combo or Stella's or something. So I did event. The new VR Vansol came out in black. So I did just a little video saying, do any of you on TikTok fish Van Stalls? Like, what's your, where are all the Van Stall people at? And geez, you got like all these people like Van Stalls are overrated. I'm fishing with a 40-year-old pen. And of course, on TikTok, I'm different than I am on Instagram. So like, I just shoot right back and be like, no, you're terribly wrong. And, you've offended me by saying that you fish with this 40-year-old pen reel and all this kind of stuff. And, the comments got up to like 140. And all of a sudden, that video has been seen 20-something thousand times.
Yeah, I mean,
and a lot of those are negative comments, just like, I'm not paying for that. That's way too expensive or whatever, which is cool. Like, if you don't want to pay for something, I don't mind. But it's like, it's just the dismissal of it,
They're also probably fishing an entirely different scenario. If that guy with the pen wanted to reach out to me and come fishing Montauk one day with me, not even one day, 4 hours with pen in the kind of surf conditions that I do, it wouldn't last to the end of the day or the end of the 4 hours. He would take it. I mean, he'd have to take it home, clean the entire thing, and maybe it would still work properly.
You know what's weird about fishing, and I've said this a million times, so I apologize to the audience. I'm repeating myself, but like, I always wonder, like, when you see something, and I have this in front of me, like Stella, $1,000 offshore reel, right? Now you might never buy it, you might never fish it, it might be way out of your price range, and I totally get that. But like, why would you ever say like, oh, why would I buy that when I can get a $30 Okuma and they're the same thing, right? Like, you would never see a Ferrari drive by and be like, oh, why would I get that Ferrari? I can get this Camry, like, you know what I mean? They're both cars and they'll both get you to work, but no one's going to say they're the same thing. And for some reason in fishing, and I don't know if this happens in other industries, where like, it's almost like the dream of using whatever is the best or whatever is the, highest end is just like dead. You know what I mean? It's the weirdest thing to me.
Yeah, I hear you.
We used to have people come in all the time who like aspire to own Van Stalls. This was 10 years ago when Van Stall, we're actually the number one Van Stall dealer in the country now. But like back then when it was just like, it was a $700 reel when most people were spending like 100 to 150, right? Like, you were in that kind of range. Now, $700, these people just come in all day long and do it. It's not as, inflation and all these kind of things. It's just a different world, right? So it's hard to compare the two. But there used to be like I dream about that. I'm going to save up, and then I'm going to use my Christmas money or my birthday money. My mom is going to, whatever. My wife's going to contribute. And all of a sudden, holy cow, I've got that, VS 200 that I've been dreaming about for 5 years, whatever it is, like that is like just dead. It's like either I'll take one or, oh, that's overpriced and I'll never fish it.
Never buy it.
Never buy it.
Or I'll buy it right away.
Or buy it right away. Yeah, that's the only two options now. It's weird because it's that whole, it's good to dream. It's good to have desires of things that are better in life, whether it's car, house, fishing, skiing. I don't care, whatever it is. Like, you don't have to buy any of this stuff. You know what I mean? You can go out and do whatever, but it's like, it's just that aspiration is almost gone. It's really strange.
Yeah, I mean, I had that as a kid. Living up in the Northeast in Jersey, I had like a little snow shoveling business. I had like 2 or 3 employees at one point, and we would do 100 houses in a snowstorm.
Sure, yeah. Just
so I could make money. Had a dog walking business, cut grass and stuff like that. Like, and that little bit of money that I made all went towards fishing stuff and my first Hobie cut.
Sure.
So I guess it kind of paid off in the end.
No, definitely. But I mean, not everybody
No.
turns out to be earning a living fishing, right?
No, or I mean, the way I earn my living is more on the fun side of fishing. Fortunately enough, like there are professional fishermen that I know that work in the commercial industry, which that is a ton of work. And I have mad respect for a lot of guys that do that. They'll go out to sea for like 2 weeks at a time to catch fish to sell, so you guys could buy in supermarkets and stuff like that.
Sure.
So it's a lot of tough work.
Absolutely, yeah. All right, I think we'll end it there. If there's anything else you want to talk about, anything you want to say, I appreciate you coming on. Anything else you want to promote, you want to talk about? I mean, people should definitely, they probably are, but if you're not subscribed to his channel on YouTube, I put it in the description below. The link, you can just click the link and subscribe if you haven't already. But they probably already have. Everybody kind of knows who you are.
Yeah, subscribe to the channel. This coming week, I'll probably upload episode 2 of the Keys adventure. Have a life-threatening situation, so it should be pretty cool. But yeah, I'm gonna take a picture of this to post it on the Instagram, and I'm blocking my face. This is like my first live stream.
It really is your first live stream?
Yeah, kind of.
All right.
Trying to get my face in there. Here we go. All right. But yeah, I'll see you guys out on the water, or I'll be hearing from you in the comments if you're watching my vids. A lot of you guys that comment on my vids, like, it really can make my day. It gives me more inspiration to keep going. So keep at it.
Yeah, absolutely. And if if you guys down the road, you think about it, you want to go on a charter with Rich, and you can't figure out how to do it, just reach out to me. I'll get Rich in touch with you. You can hit me up on Instagram or email me, josh@jnh.com. If for some reason you can't get a hold of Rich, can't get a hold of Fishaholic.
Or you can email me at fishaholictv@gmail.com. Yeah.
I'll put that in the description down below after the live stream.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think people going fishing with you would absolutely have a blast. They'd learn a lot and just have a great day on the water with someone who's super knowledgeable about what he does. How could you go wrong, right?
I think it would be an awesome time. I even had some, maybe they're, like teenagers email me. They're like, hey, like, if me and my dad book a charter with you, you better be filming. They want to just come out there.
They want to be in your video? Yeah.
They want to see how the whole thing gets put together,
Sure, yeah.
So basically just me looking like a dork with a GoPro on my head.
I hear you. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
I walk around the store all day, like, talking to my phone, doing Instagram stories, of hats and stuff, and people are like, what are you doing? But it is what it is. It's sort of life.
I've had a lot of people staring at me when I'm talking to a camera before. Sometimes I'm used to it. Other times I'm like, all right, I'll put the camera down. I'll wait till they leave.
Yeah.
And I'll pick it back up again. Yeah.
I feel you. Yeah, absolutely. All right, cool. Well, thank you for coming on. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you have any questions for me, you can do it in the comments below. Email me, josh@jnh.com. And if you have any comments or questions for Rich Fishaholic, you can do that as well, and I'll make sure that he answers them as well the next couple of days or whatever, right? So thanks again to my guest, Fishaholic. Definitely subscribe to his channel, and we'll do this again soon. Later, guys.
Yeah. Later, guys.